A new report coming out this morning could fundamentally change the college admission process. Administrators from top colleges and universities are launching the document, Turning the Tide. It comes from the Harvard Graduate School of Education. The report examines the application system and offers specific improvements. New York Times columnist Frank Bruni looked at the growing concern in his new article. He's also the author of Where You Go Is Not Who You'll Be, an antidote to the college admissions mania. We're pleased to have Frank Bruni back in Studio 57. Welcome.
Thanks. Good to see you.
This has been an issue that you've written about before.
Yeah.
So what's going to change in the admissions process from this report?
Well, the report can't command change, but the report is signed off on, endorsed by so many people at top universities that it clearly indicates a desire and an intention to do things differently. I think what's going to happen is you're going to see in bits and pieces over the coming years the admissions process become less slave to the metrics that have been used so far. Already, you have a lot of schools saying SATs, ACTs optional. You have schools saying they're not going to be as impressed by a huge load of AP courses. And what they're trying to do is get kids away from a sort of incredibly dutiful script following during high school and encourage more genuine passions in them and figure out a way to judge them by the way they commit to those passions.
I think this is exciting. This is a really big deal, I think, because you said it could put an end to that manic resume padding that so many people have done in the past. But it also levels the playing field for kids that don't get the opportunity to get the tutors that come in here. And that they'll pay attention to other things like what, Frank?
Well, I pay attention to things like civic engagement. One of the things this report goes into at great length, which I thought was very interesting, is it's telling admissions officers, let's stop being impressed simply by the name of a charitable organization that a kid has worked for. Let's really find a way through essays, through letters of recommendation, to figure out whether that charity work was genuine, heartfelt, and sustained, or whether it was just checking off another box on this is what they want to see in Cambridge.
Or whether,
Princeton.
to that point specifically, the report addresses the connection between academic pressure and mental health issues. And it says middle and upper income communities' rates of depression, delinquency, substance abuse, and anxiety appear to be considerably higher.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because kids feel like they have to nail things in a very certain way. As admissions rates have dropped at many top schools, they're all competing against each other in a more ferocious way, and they're getting the message, partly from the admissions process, but also partly from their parents, and parents need to step up here. They're getting the message that if they don't hit a certain marker, get into a certain kind of school, they've failed in life and forevermore will be behind the 8 ball. And that message is so destructive. It's not only that we see those high rates of mental illness in kids in high school, but every university is reporting record numbers of kids coming in for treatment to their mental health services on campus. And that's becoming a bigger and bigger problem.
But the bottom line is they're looking at how do you look and make sure that you're not leaving behind some really terrific kids who don't have the privilege that other kids have.
Which is key. I mean, the context for this is we're living in a country with yawning income inequality. And higher education is asking, very appropriately, more than ever, what's our part in social mobility? How do we remedy that? And one of the reasons you're seeing schools step away from standardized tests is there's a lot of research that what standardized tests judge more than anything else is family background income, the income of your family. And so they're trying to say, what are the markers that really spot potential and don't just reflect privilege?
So pay attention to a kid who maybe has to stay home and help the family, or who has a part-time job because he has to help the family and can't be engaged in community services.
Right, and recognize the character in that kid. And that character is going to be as key as any load of AP courses.
So how realistic is this, Frank, that you think that this will actually happen?
I don't think we're going to see an overwhelming sea change in one admission cycle, but when you look at the number of people who've signed off on this, when you look at the fact that at the news conference today here in New York, someone from Yale will be there, the Dean of Admissions, someone from MIT, someone from University of Michigan, you are clearly seeing a signal that admissions offices are going to make some changes. I think over the next 5 years, we'll see big changes.
You also write about a 2014 survey of 10,000 middle and high school students about what they thought was important. And what did they find?
Well, the author of this report is the person who did that research. They asked these kids what matters most, individual achievement, happiness, or caring for others. And they were shocked to find that only 22% said caring for others. And that's pretty interesting because when you get a question like that, you know what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to say something high-minded. So if you're admitting off the bat, I don't care about others, I won't care about my happiness and achievement. And they said that's clearly, we've got to figure out where they're getting that signal.
Did those answers have anything to do with background?
I don't know if they broke it down that way. But what they're asking in this new report is to what extent does the college admissions process bring about those values and exacerbate the problem of an obsessive focus on individual achievement and where do I rate and what's my status in society.
It's a very encouraging sign. Yeah. Thank you, Frank. Always good to see you.